We'll talk about the Ayurveda school. So we're really lucky today because maybe if you want to kind of come on to camera, Kaveri. We're supported by Kaveri. She's our moderator, but Kaveri really is, can I add you to the spotlight? Do you mind? I want to add Kaveri here because she's also a graduate of the School of Ayurveda, and she's one of our Ayurvedic Health Counselors at Kripalu. And so if you come to Kripalu or want to have a consultation or learn more about Ayurveda, you'll find her in the shop, doing kind of like pulse and info sessions down in the shop, as well as consultations. So I just wanted to be sure that I introduced Kaveri as she's one of our people.
Yeah, nice to see you all, familiar faces, some folks coming to the workshops and such, but I'd love to see you all again on campus or online.
Well, thanks, Kaveri. And as we go through, if you have questions, Kaveri might be able to answer them in the chat. And and if you come on campus, I hope that you get to see her because she's wonderful. So thanks, Kaveri, for being here.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get going here. All right, friends. So let's look at the Foundations of Ayurveda that's coming up. So tonight, I'm going to talk about the intentions of the training. So it starts next month. It starts April 23rd. I want to go over a little bit of what the curriculum is. I'll introduce you to our faculty. Well, at least you'll see photos. I'll show you who our faculty is. Talk a little bit about the schedule, the investment, engagement, hybrid learning, assignments, and then have time to answer any questions. So that's where we're heading for the rest of the time together. And so as we make our tea, one of the things that the tea can help to do, and it's only one of a myriad of practices from Ayurveda, is to help to support our health. And Ayurveda describes health as to be situated within yourself. It's so beautiful. I had a guest in a program say to me, it sounds like it's when we're in health, we're at home within ourselves. And I was like, yeah, that sounds it. And so the Sanskrit word for that is swasta, to become situated within ourselves. And the way that the school is set up and the way that and based on these, you can see all these texts behind me. These are old, ancient, 2,500-year-old texts, is they start first with establishing what is health before establishing what is disease. And so we're going to be in the Foundations program. It's really all about prevention. And it's where Ayurveda really shines. And in my own personal life and in a dream world, the integrative practice between Eastern medicine and Western medicine, like the gifts that they both bring to us as a human experience, is wonderful. And so in my experience is that Ayurveda has been a lot more helpful in helping things with like digestion and prevention and lifestyle and living in rhythm with the seasons and the time of life and time of year, and to have a real nuanced way of understanding this through this lens. Ayurveda can walk with you really through all the stages of your life. And what we'll be doing is really examining our relationship between not only our internal world, but also our environment. So wherever you live, whether you live in Arizona or Massachusetts, or we've had students in Indonesia, or, all these different climates, we're relating to our inner world, but also the impact of what's happening in our climate, our society, our family, our neighborhoods, and how that impacts us. And then starting to come into a more compassionate understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. That Ayurveda, the science of life, includes all of life. It includes your cup of tea and your, pasta dinner and your relationship with your family. And that's all part of it. And we relate to each other through our senses and through our minds. And so in this program, there is practical tools. So Ayurveda is very pragmatic. So, just the fact that it's the science of life, it's a very pragmatic practice. And together we dive into the really beautiful, deep theory of Ayurveda principles and then how to apply it to our own lives. And so there's tools like sense care that increase your vitality, that are really nourishing. We'll discuss food that brings lightness, whether we need it, or do we need more heaviness and grounding? Daily routines that are in rhythm with the rising and the setting of the sun. So how do we have sleep routines and how do we have a relationship, not with what we're eating, but like how we're eating, creating a rhythm, routine, and a ritual around food. We'll learn about Ayurvedic psychology and like how to kind of build resiliency. The more we kind of stabilize the digestive system and the nervous system builds a sense of resiliency. And ultimately, not only for ourselves, but a sense of creating more community with each other as well. And so there's a few pathways in the Ayurveda school. And this can get a little like clunky on the internet, right? So when you're looking on our website, it's not always super clear how this goes. So the starting point for most people is Foundations of Ayurveda. And the next one, like I said, is April 23rd. It's a hybrid delivery starting this spring. And it can be a standalone program. So it's for those of you who are like, I've done some workshops in Ayurveda, or I'm a yoga teacher, or I want to know more. Something captivated me about Ayurveda. It's a language that makes sense to me, and I want to know more. This is excellent for that. It is a 200-hour deep dive immersion into Ayurveda. And really the aim is for you to be able to apply it to your own life, to share with your families, to, just share in a way that feels like natural to you, like whatever kind of makes sense. But it's not a certificate at the end. So you don't have like at the end of a 200-hour yoga teacher training, we're like, here, you have a certificate, you can go teach. But with the Ayurveda, that's kind of not the way the national organization works, and you'd have to do a little bit more. But it's also so much that you want to share and talk about it because you'll be so excited about what you learn that it'll be like such an easy thing to want to share with people. Some of you might be here as part of the 300-hour Ayurveda yoga teacher training track. And that is for those of you who are already a 200-hour teacher. You're already a 200-hour yoga teacher. And you'll need to have that. And then you would take Foundations of Ayurveda and then Uniting Yoga and Ayurveda, and either meditation or pranayama. And you can do this at any order. So some of you might already have been like, oh, I've done the meditation module as part of my 300-hour Kripalu. Great. Then you can come in and apply you can apply it towards a 300-hour Ayurveda yoga teacher training, which has 200 hours of foundations, 75 hours of Uniting Yoga and Ayurveda, which is where how do you apply Ayurveda to the yoga teaching, and then either a meditation or pranayama module. So that's a 300-hour. Again, you have to have a 200-hour yoga teacher training for that. And then the other thing, which should be a 3, not another 1, is some of you might be interested in becoming an Ayurvedic Health Counselor. And the Ayurveda Health Counselor is the entry point for that is you have to take the Foundations of Ayurveda. And then you continue and take part 2, which is clinical training in Ayurveda. We're offering it this September. And so that gives you the ability to do what I did. You learn all about the medicinal aspects of plants and spices, how to work one-on-one with clients like Kaveri does at Kripalu. She went through our program. She's a Ayurvedic Health Counselor certified by Kripalu, and then is able to do consultations at Kripalu. It gives you the ability to look beyond just like there's a little bit of prevention and some intervention. And our graduates do incredible work from, like I said, what Kaveri's doing to, I just met with a client who is a graduate of the school who's running her own business and taking people on retreats. Kate O'Donnell, one of our faculty in the school, like myself, we both went through the school. And, she's written 4 books and is, just has a really strong online presence with Ayurveda. So, there isn't like you go to Ayurveda school and you hang a shingle and you go work at a doctor's office, but there's a lot of opportunity to be as creative and expansive and thoughtful and curious and imaginative at this as you can. So those are our 3 pathways. And so the curriculum for Foundations that starts April 23rd is, like I said, it's based primarily in prevention. And we start with history and philosophy. And so the content builds upon itself. And so it's a hybrid model. So there's about 6, I think, I can't remember exactly. We'll say 6 online sessions to start, and they're on Wednesdays at this time. So that's why I put this at Wednesday. It's 4 to 6 o'clock. And then you come on campus for 2 one-week sessions. And so it's kind of the best of both worlds to have a little bit that we learn at home prior to coming. And then you come for a week. We do a deep immersion, long days, like with incredible teachers who come on campus. And then we come back and continue to study online with those incredible teachers for a few weeks. And then you come again at the end of June for the final week. And it's really built progressively. And so we start with history and philosophy, and then we move into doshas and constitution. You might have heard that word, dosha and constitution. And then we get into digestion and nutrition, kind of daily and seasonal practices. It's called dinacharya and ritucharya. Like, how do I move through my day and take care of myself in a little bit more nuanced way? A lot of the stuff will be so intuitive. You're already doing it. It'll make a ton of sense to you. Mm-hmm. And then anatomy and physiology. There's, it's cool because there's like current anatomy and physiology is so sophisticated, right? From cell biology to like the genome. We didn't know any of this 5,000 years ago. The way that we've named every single bone and muscle and tendon and nerve and like every hole in your head. I had to take head and neck anatomy in college. I was like, there's so many holes. There literally are so many holes in your head, like the foramen. And so, but Ayurveda gives a more, it's a little bit broader. So if anybody, all my anatomy folks up there, or you're in the medical field, will be like, this is a lot to like, it's such a different language. And if you don't have an anatomy background, you're like, this makes a ton of sense. And so we're talking about what are the qualities, what are the doshas, we have subdoshas, there's all of this really beautiful language to describe what's happening internally. And then if you go on to the health counselor program, there's even more. We'll spend a lot of time in digestion and nutrition. So we'll have cooking sessions on campus, and you'll do cooking sessions at home along with Kate O'Donnell. We'll be making digestive aids and teas and foods, and really knowing that health from an Ayurvedic perspective begins with the digestive system. And we have psychology, to how to understand the mind from a Ayurvedic perspective. And then we'll get Sanskrit lessons along the way. And all of this is taught by our phenomenal faculty who've been teaching for collectively, the school's was founded 20 years ago. So we're on our 20-year anniversary this year. And all of these faculty, I've been involved in the school since 2009, along with Kate, and all of the other faculty have been here for nearly 20 years. So they've been around for many, many, many years. And they come with a real depth of practice and experience. We have Ayurvedic Vaidya's like Dr. Rosie and Dr. Jyoti, and Chinese medicine doctor and Ayurvedic practitioner with Scott Blossom. And Larissa, Kate, and I have all come through the school and been really dedicated to the Kripalu methodology and our practice of Ayurveda that we've continued to learn both at Kripalu as well as studying elsewhere. And so this is the team. And then you'll have sadhana leaders come in, and we'll have folks come in from the outdoor leadership school. And but this is the main curriculum deliverers right here from this faculty. I've been doing it for many years. I do see that questions are coming in the chat. We'll get to them at the end. I promise we'll get to them. And then here's our dates. They're also on the website, but there are 6 online sessions before we get started on campus. So it's close. I think I said 5 or 6. So, and these are Wednesdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Zoom. So there'll be 2-hour sessions each week before you come on campus. And then our first session on campus is May 30th to June 6th. So Friday to Friday. We start in the evening. So it starts at 7 p.m. and we're wrapped up by noon on the last day. And the days are longer. So we have morning yoga practice, and then we have kind of blocks of morning session, long lunch, afternoon session. So, but each day we do have yoga practices on campus. You won't have any yoga practices online. You don't have to be a yoga teacher to take this program. So if you're not a yoga teacher, you can take Foundations of Ayurveda. It's not a prerequisite to be a yoga teacher to take this program. And then you'll go home for a few weeks. We'll do some more online stuff. This is when we'll have Kate O'Donnell online cooking in the month of June. And then we come back back, and then we'll have fireworks at the end because it's July 4th. Or you can stay and go to James Taylor. So which is the big thing at Tanglewood. And so these are the dates for this next upcoming session. And we won't be offering the Foundations of Ayurveda again until the fall of 2026. So we'll do a fully online version of Foundations of Ayurveda in fall of 2026. And the hybrid will be spring of 2027. So we only offer this every couple of years. So that's our curriculum. We're going to be on campus. We have the best of both worlds of hybrid and on campus. We have phenomenal faculty. When you come on campus, you get supported by everyone at Kripalu with delicious food. You get to kind of just shuffle around and show up at class and be outside. The weather's phenomenal this time of year. And learn, we'll have fire one night, and it's a really nice experience to be on campus. For those of you who've been, I'm preaching to the choir in some extent. And for those of you who haven't, it's a pretty special land to come visit. So, about 100 acres of land. You have access to a lake, in your free time, and you're just really supported. So you can just be deeply immersed in Ayurveda while you're here. We do ask for 100% attendance when there are on-campus immersion. Because we don't record, there's no way to replicate that. We can't get that kind of made up for you. So we do ask for that. And then 90% attendance for the online sessions. Sometimes things happen. The sessions online are recorded. So if you're like, I can't come to one, that's fine. Like, just watch the recording before the next week because the material builds upon itself. But we really ask, it's really something special about this school that stands out from some other schools is it's not asynchronous learning. We're bringing these teachers back year after year after year to teach live. And so part of that relationship is you being there online to engage in a way that the material's fresh, it's delivered in the moment, it's with teachers who are really passionate about what they're doing and really skilled at what they do. And if you do need an absence, sometimes there's things that happen that, you don't know ahead of time. There's a process for a form to fill out. And then there is some makeup work around a missed session, just so we can be sure that we've accounted that you've actually participated in the material. So like I said, all the sessions are live. They're on Zoom, like the same platform that we're on today. And then they get uploaded into a Vimeo site. So you have access to them for 30 days after the session ends. But we do not record, we don't record on-campus sessions. So that's not available. So that you just come in, you take notes, you can bring your laptop, you can write things down, and but they're not recorded on campus. That was a extraneous slide that I didn't need. So I'm just gonna delete that. Okay. And there are assignments in KSA. So if anyone who's gone through our yoga training, you know that there probably isn't so much homework, where this team, the Ayurveda school, leans a little bit more academic. And that can be, just incorporating some new practices experimenting with what's offered in the training. There's lots of reading. So there's a few required texts that you can find online. And I think I do have them in this slide deck. There are written assignments and written reflections. So you will see that they're all reviewed. We have a learning management system called Canvas. And so everything's submitted and every assignment gets reviewed and comments are made to sort of keep you engaged in the material. And then we have 2 exams. So we have like a midterm and then a final exam that you take after the program ends in July. You'll do it the week after you get home. And I figure it takes about 5 hours a week of reading, experimentation, reflection to do this, right? So you can keep your full-time job, you don't have to move, right? But you will want to plan on carving about, I say, like an hour a day-ish to just to be engaged with the material over the time that you're not in session with us. And you have support. So our faculty are mostly independent contractors. And so I bring them in as, independent faculty, and they'll be with you when they're in session with you. But outside of session, they're not necessarily available unless you want to book consultations with them and things like that. But you have support from myself and Lauren, who isn't able to be here tonight, but she's our academic coordinator. And we have office hours that you can sign up for. And these are ways that you can ask questions. Not everyone likes to ask questions in a big Zoom room. So if you have some material that you want to cover, kind of guidance on what should I do next? What are the options? I just need a little help navigating through what I can do next. And if you're having any kind of just need some academic support, going through concepts, or if you need help navigating the learning management system, things like that. So there's a staff, both myself, Lauren, and we have a program coordinator, I think it's Sachi this year, who will be able to kind of help you navigate through some of these things as well. And so for an investment, I'm always I want to know what it's going to cost before I buy anything. And so I want to give that to you. And again, you can find this on the website as well. And so if you're interested in coming for Foundations starting next month, the tuition is $29.54. Plus there will be on-site housing that you'll need to pay for. And if you have applied and been accepted, you can navigate through registrations, the cost of it. But basically, if you look at the housing cost on the accommodations page, for students, it's 10% off. So you take 10% off. The dorms are the least expensive option. And the more private you get and the more annex you get, which is a separate building connected to Kripalu, the more the investment is for your housing. So I was always a dorm kid. I was in the dorms, and it was great. We house the students together. So you're not housed with guests who are on vacation or just there for retreat. They put the students together. And if you are doing the yoga training, it's $1,100 for a 9-day module or a hybrid module. And then I'm going to do a separate info session just on the clinical training in Ayurveda in June. But that, just to give you a forecast, that's a hybrid program that starts in September. Again, you have to do Foundations first before doing the clinical training in Ayurveda. But that is a hybrid program that will be much more intensive, many more hours. There's weekends online, as well as 3 in-session. Let me back up. 3 on-campus sessions, 1 in November, and then 2 in 2026. But again, I'll have a separate talk just focused on that in June. And unfortunately, this is, we're implementing a new system, hopefully by the end of the year, if not in 2026, but we don't have payment plans. And so I know that can be challenging for some folks to be call and then, all money down on one call. But that's the way that it currently, our systems, that's all that it can do, because they were built in 1927, apparently. And so we are working on that in the future. If that is something that would be more helpful for you to know that, I just wanted to put that out there as well. But if you're really wanting to go and to be an Ayurvedic Health Counselor and you haven't taken Foundations and you're wanting to do that in the fall, this will be your last opportunity to take Foundations before that program begins. And just to consider some other costs, there are 3 required texts for Foundations of Ayurveda. You can find these online, or once you're accepted to the program, you get a 10% discount on the Kripalu shop. Any housing and tuition, we don't cover the cost of travel to and from Kripalu. So, depending on, if you need to bus, plane, train. Trains aren't going to get you there in a very effective way. It'll be bus or plane. You'll have to, that'll be on you as well. And then if you participate in the cooking sessions, similar to what we did today, there'll be some sort of cooking sessions online with Kate. And so, which is nice, because then you have a meal for your family at the end of class that day. And so if you haven't already, you can apply online. And so if you go into the schools, there's a link here. I don't know if you're going to get this, but we can get this up on the website too, but you can apply online. And if you have any questions, you can email the Kripalu schools at kripalu.org. And then I'll also give you my email in case there's something that I can be specifically helpful with. But start with Kripalu schools for those general questions. But if you have something like really specific, and Kaveri put the application online in the chat as well. And so apply. Once you get the acceptance, you can either call or they'll give you a link to register. We're here to support you. There's an admissions coordinator, Liz, who's wonderful, that answers the Kripalu schools at kripalu.org email. I'm on the other end of the my own email, and so I'm mostly good about responding. I'm heading into teaching a training, so it's going to be it might be a little hit or miss over the next week. So I just wanted to just let you know that ahead of time. And so I see that the chat has blown up with some questions, and generally I cover a lot that I'm assuming that people have curiosities about, and then I want to be sure that I go through the chat. So I'm going to kind of scroll up to the top, and if I miss any, Kaveri's going to, fill in the blanks. And so in the chat, there's a question, do we offer any online Foundations of Ayurveda courses? We do, Lisa. Lisa's asking this question. We just completed one, and we will offer the next fully online Foundations of Ayurveda, which can be nice. It's less money because you don't have to pay to come here, and you can do it from home. So that works for a lot of people. It just makes it more accessible and works well in some people's lives to have the fully online foundations. The next one we'll be offering will be in September of 2026. So it's about a year and a half from now will be the next time that we do. And I offer any summer workshops. Yes, there's lots of workshops. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, but I have some Ayurveda just retreats coming up I have one in July. I have one in May and July, and you can look for others as well. And I don't know what the affiliations are in Canada. So here in the United States, where we're aligning with is two different organizations, the National Ayurvedic Medical Association and the Ayurvedic Accreditation Council. And so those are like kind of governing boards. We're working towards licensure. We're in the process of accrediting schools, and we're in candidacy for it right now. But there isn't a license for Ayurveda. And there's lots of people working in those two organizations towards that goal. You can do if you want to do a 300-hour, you have to apply into the 300-hour Ayurveda yoga teacher training. Again, you have to have a 200-hour yoga certificate already. You do not need to be a yoga teacher to take the Foundations of Ayurveda or to become an Ayurvedic Health Counselor. That is not a requirement. So if you're not able to come in person, can you participate in the training? No, I think I covered that. We don't offer a live stream of it. Again, the full virtual option will be in September. That will be, if you're like, I can't come to these, then I can only do in online. You'll have to wait until September of 2026. So this is the last time we're offering this in 2025. I covered the costs. And so there's some questions about the 650 hour, and I'll get to that in a minute. The full virtual cost is the same. We haven't set prices for 2026, but we have not increased the tuition for these programs in years. So I'm going to assume that the tuition for Foundations of Ayurveda will be the same in 2026 because we're really trying to keep the costs of tuition level. So I'm assuming that it will be the same in 2026, and then you just don't have to pay for any of the housing. And And all of the scholarships for so far have been taken for this program. They've already been accepted. So we've awarded all scholarships for this program. And so there's questions about like what would you do, with any of this, right? So if do the Ayurveda yoga teacher training, you're a yoga teacher and you apply this to your yoga training. For foundations, you might have a profession already. A lot of people they incorporate this into their practices. I know people who've gone through a program that are therapists, and they're just upfront about that they incorporate some Ayurveda into their, just basic stuff of like getting to sleep and taking care of yourselves and eating whole foods and some seasonal things. Some of these really basic principles can be really helpful for people who are also navigating some, just challenges in the kind of mental, emotional part of their lives. Like there can be some real stabilizing qualities that we learn in Ayurveda that can be helpful. It's definitely great if you have a family and you're like, I just want to learn how to take care of myself and my family. And we also have, we have a student who just finished Foundations of Ayurveda, and she's a 300-hour yoga teacher, and she teaches in high school. She teaches health ed in high school, as well as teaches the different groups in the school yoga, and she's really incorporated it, and the high school kids have been really receptive to it. And so there's a lot of possibility for what you do. And like I said, it's not a licensed profession. And so there's, a lot of our graduates are doing consultations and education and things like that. And so, Carolyn, you can send me that question about what you already have in Ayurveda, and then maybe I can nuance it because that's very specific to you. So if you can email me at erinc@kripalu.org, I can help you talk through that. So I think I've gotten through all the questions in the chat. And some of you might be like, those were none of my questions, and you might want to ask a question. So you're welcome to, I can see all of you. You can raise your physical hand. You can raise your little digital hand by going down to the react button, and they have a raise hand option. And so I want to be sure that, as you're considering making this change or commitment or a new possibility, if there's anything that feels like a question that hasn't been answered for you coming into our time together today. And you're also welcome to put it in the chat. I will hang for a minute in quiet because things might bubble up as we sit together. Okay. Curious, has anybody already applied and planning on enrolling? And we're here to just learn a little bit more. Great. Okay. And so I am available. Like I said, we can email Kripalu schools at kripalu.org. And so they're kind of like, again, Liz is our admissions coordinator. Yep, I see a question come in. And then if you need anything from me directly, I'm erinc@kripalu.org. The exams, Meg, are all online. And so there's two. So you'll have one after the first on-campus session. And you get about 3 to 4 days to complete it. So it's not timed, it's not proctored. They're comprehensive. So you'll get one that's like, okay, we just gave you a ton of theory and practice on campus for module 1 in May. And then you'll have a few days to complete it. So you can, I think about the exams as like a way to integrate the material, right? So what did I learn? What landed? What didn't I? What do I need to go back to? So even some people choose to just see how their memory is working with it. And others really use their notes or their books to like dig in. So it becomes another tool of integration to learn the material. And then you'll get a final comprehensive exam at the end of the program, actually after we finish. So we'll finish on campus July 4th, and then the next week you'll get the exam. So you have time to kind of study and prepare and learn, be able to feedback of what you learned while you were on campus. And so, and like I said, it's through our LMS, it's through our learning management system. And you have, as much time as you need for that, and it's not proctored. This is a great question. What's the certificate? Like, what is the name of what you receive at the end of a 650-hour program? So at the end of a 650 hours, you are a 650-hour Ayurvedic Health Counselor. And so that's your certificate. That's the name on your certificate. And it's the same name as that's been sort of determined by the National Ayurvedic Medical Association. Any YTT, so there's a question about the yoga teacher training. So any 200-hour yoga teacher training that's Yoga Alliance approved will accept that as your entry into the 300-hour Ayurveda yoga teacher training. So it doesn't have to be a 200-hour that has any specificity in Ayurveda. It's just as long as it's a Yoga Alliance approved training is what we ask for. This is a great question, and we'll talk about this in the next info session, but there's a question about pulse reading. Is it really helpful to be able to participate in the on-campus module? Yes, we teach pulse on campus in person. We don't teach it online. You get an online, you will have an online pulse program that you purchase, that you practice at home first, but we learn how to do it with each other. And so that's not part of Foundations program. That's part of the health counselor training. And I'm having a question about the start and stop times of the on-campus training. So let me pull that up for a visual for you, Diane. Give me 1 second just to click back to the dates. So here we go. And you can find all of these online as well. So the start and end times on campus. So the first day on campus is Friday, May 30th to Friday, June 6th. We start May 30th at 7 p.m. And we complete on Friday, June 6th at 12 p.m. So you're around lunchtime. And the same is true for Friday, June 27th, we start at 7 p.m. So it gives you time to travel. And then we conclude Friday, July 4th at 12 o'clock p.m. All right. So we currently, for Foundations of Ayurveda, the scholarships have been claimed. And so they're not available for Foundations for this round, but we will have 5 scholarships available for the clinical training in Ayurveda. And it covers, when we're all said and done, it covers about 40% of the total cost if you receive a scholarship-ish. It's about that. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for drinking tea and making tea. And if you didn't, maybe you'll be inspired to go see what's in your cabinets and throw a teaspoon of some spice into your hot water, right? Or maybe tomorrow morning you'll consider cooking some water and having that be your gentle digestive aid to support you through the day or many days ahead. We're here to support you. Cooked water, yes, Jessica, we're here to support you. So if you have questions that pop up maybe after this, you're like, oh, I wish I had asked or I didn't know, you can email either kripaluschools@kripalu.org or email me at erinc@kripalu.org. And I really hope I see you. And if we don't see you in Ayurveda school, maybe we'll see you, continue to have a relationship online, or maybe you come for a retreat. And either way, I hope in some way you continue to dive in, stay curious, and find something enticing about Ayurveda that you'd like to continue to follow down the path. I appreciate all of you for spending some time here at the end of the day, and I look forward to seeing you sometime soon. Thanks, everyone.